So did you stay outside or did you go inside?
Inside.
Okay. Do you know how long you stayed inside before you saw your sister?
About a minute or two.
Okay. Did she come from upstairs?
Yes.
Okay. So you go in the house, you wait about a minute, and then Miranda comes downstairs.
And yes.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Okay, so you said that at some point you guys go over to Isabel's house?
Yes.
Okay, did you have to drive over there? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so how far did you guys drive?
I think about like 3 to 4 blocks.
Okay, do you know about how long it took you to drive over there?
Not that long.
Okay, so who drove over there?
My sister.
Okay, were you in the car with her?
Yes.
Is anybody else in the car with you guys?
Yes, her one Bryant.
Do you know who that person?
It wasn't Mikey. It was. I forgot his name.
Okay. Did you know that person before? Your friend before?
I don't really remember like my sister's friends all that.
Okay. Do you know if his name was Antonio?
Yes.
Okay, so that's your sister's friend Antonio?
Yes.
Okay, and do you know if Antonio had a child with Isabel?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So you guys go from Mikey's house over to Isabel's house?
Yes.
Okay, and then what happens when you get over there?
My sister got out of the car and Antonio too.
Okay.
And I got out of the car because I know how my sister acts, like the reaction when she's upset and mad.
Okay. And then so did you go up to the house?
No.
Do you know if anybody else went up to the house?
I think my sister was about to walk up there.
Okay, do you know if Antonio went up to the house?
Not as I remember.
Okay, all right. But did the police come to Isabel's house at some point?
Yes, took them about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. All right. Do you remember what was happening while you guys were waiting for the police?
My sister was arguing with Isabel's mom.
Okay. All right. Okay. Do you remember, do you know if anybody told the police that they had video of this incident?
No.
Okay. All right. At some point, did you tell Ms. Ritter that before you got out of your sister's car to go up into Mikey's mom's house, do you remember telling Ms. Ritter that you tried to text your sister?
Yes.
Okay. So you also, before you got out of the car, texted?
Yes.
And did you get any response?
No.
Okay, I don't have.
Yes, sir. So, Ms. Rodriguez, I asked you, strike that. Ms. Stevenson asked you what you were doing for the person with the rocket poster vehicle, correct?
Yeah.
And you replied that you were on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you see the person when they were approaching the vehicle?
No.
Okay. Did you see the person anytime before they threw the rock at the vehicle?
No. Afterwards.
Okay. So how long afterwards did you see this person?
When I heard the window got smashed, I kind of took like a glance, like when they took off.
Okay. So when you took this glance, can you describe the person that you were looking at?
Yeah.
Okay. How did that person look?
Had clothes on, dark clothes, long hair. That's all I can remember.
Okay. Now, you remember giving a statement to the police that day, right? That's what you testified to?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what you said in the statement?
No.
Okay. If I gave you an opportunity to look at your statement, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Doesn't matter. Okay. So when you're done reading that, Ms. Rodriguez, just look up.
Yeah.
Okay, so just put that face down on the ledge for me, please. Okay, so you had an opportunity to read your statement, Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Okay, now, what was the date that statement was given?
September 12, 2021.
Okay, so the same day of this incident?
Yes.
Okay, and in your statement, do you recall telling the police that you saw an individual get out of a gray Chevy Malibu?
Yes.
Okay, and your memory would have been fresher then than it is today, correct?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
So are you sure you made that statement on September 12th?
The next day.
Okay, so may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you just to take a look at that. Don't read it, just take a look at it. Look at both pages.
What does that mean? Don't read it.
I'm saying don't, not out loud. I meant to say, don't say anything out loud.
Oh.
Thank you, Judge Rumpel. Just look up when you finish.
Yeah.
Okay, I approach the witness, right?
Okay.
Okay, is it still your testimony that you gave that statement on September 12th?
It was the week after September 12th. My sister was in and out of the hospital.
Okay, so when did you actually give this statement?
The 23rd, like
Okay.
a week, like week and a half after.
Okay, all right. And so, and it's your testimony that you, after you got up from that, you glanced and saw something.
Yeah.
Okay, can you describe the individual that you saw?
She had dark hair.
Okay.
It was dark out, and she had dark clothes on, and she hopped back in a car, kind of didn't get the full on glance of the
Where's the daughter? They're not home, and they know they're not home. So I don't know, maybe we can call them one more time and let them know specifically that the judge said if their client does not log into the Zoom, I'm going to be.
Yeah, I might have a couple of questions for you. It's important for me to know what happened. It's important for me to know what you remember and what you don't remember. Now, you just given me 3 different dates for when you gave this statement to the police. You said it was the same day, and then you said it was the next day, and then you said it was the next week. Now, if you don't remember when you gave the statement, you should say you didn't remember when you gave the statement. So do you remember when you gave the statement?
Yes.
And when did you give the statement?
A week and a half after the incident. My sister was getting the windshield fixed. And she told me we're going to go down to the police station and tell them what happened. When we're like in the lobby, when the windshield was getting fixed, we called around, so it kind of took a while. And we went to the police station in Detroit, and we talked to the detective, and she wrote down questions on the statement, and I answered the question and I dated it.
Okay. Now, my other question is this: you also told me a couple of things, and I just want to see what your testimony is with respect to the person that you saw bust the windshield. Now, originally, at a certain point, you said you saw the person after they threw the rock. And then Ms. Ritter said you saw this car pull up, and she described a particular car. And then when you described the person, you said they had on dark clothes and they have dark hair, correct?
Yes.
Now I want to ask you something. I want you to look over at the fence table. And Ms. Stevenson has dark clothes on and she has dark hair. Now that's the only description you've given me of the person that you saw. With this rock through this window. So my question to you is, why are you saying that it was Miss Murillo? What about Miss Murillo? You said this person had dark clothes and dark hair, and that you was looking down at your phone and you looked up, you glimpsed. Why are you saying that was Miss Murillo?
Because she didn't like my sister. Like, she was starting stuff with her because my sister was friends.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I'm going to interrupt you. I know that you probably want to let people answer questions a whole long time. I didn't ask you what was going on between your sister and Miss Murillo. My question is, when you looked up, whether it was before the window got smashed, after the window got smashed, while the window was getting smashed, my question to you is, why do you think the person that you saw smashing the window, before the window got smashed, like I said, after the window got smashed, why do you say that person was the defendant, Ms. Murillo, based on what you saw that day?
They showed me a picture of her, and I told my sister and Antonio that was her.
That was the person that you saw. When they showed you the picture, you said, that's who I saw?
Yes.
All right. Are there any questions based on my questions?
Very, very briefly. So, Ms. Rodriguez, you testified that you saw a picture of Ms. Murillo, correct?
Yes.
Okay, was this before or after the window was smashed?
After.
Okay. And you testified earlier that were showing pictures of Ms. Murillo before, correct?
Yes,
And have you seen pictures of her before the date of this incident?
yes.
Okay. And
Oh, I have one question, I'm sorry. I want to interrupt you just so that in case you have a question based on my question, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Okay, ma'am, I also forgot to ask you, approximately how much time passed between when the brick hit the window, when the window was smashed, and then you all went to Miss Murillo's, I think you said that was Miss Murillo's house, whatever, her mother's house. How much time was between when the brick hit the window and then you text your sister and then you went up to the door and then, you know, y'all looked around and then you showed up at Miss Murillo's house? How much time passed approximately, if you know?
About 10 minutes.
So it's about 10 minutes from when the brick hit the windshield to the time you got to Miss Murillo's.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Now you can finish. I'm sorry.
It's okay, good. Okay, so you testified that you have saw pictures of Ms. Murillo before this incident, correct?
yes,
But you testified that you have never met her in person, correct?
no,
Okay, my last question is, when you arrived you testified that you went to Ms. Murillo's house, correct?
yes,
And you testified that you saw Ms. Murillo there, correct?
yes,
Okay, was Ms. Murillo wearing the same clothes she was wearing when you saw this person throw the brick, where the rock?
no, it was like a, kind of like a tank top-ish, like a shirt tank top-ish with some shorts.
Okay,
So the second time, I apologize. What are we talking about here with the tank top?
what Ms. Murillo was wearing when they arrived to her home.
Thank you.
Okay, no further questions.
Okay, Ms. C.
So did your sister show you pictures of Isabel after the window got broken?
No, it was Antonio.
Antonio showed you pictures of Isabel?
Yes,
When did he show you those pictures of Isabel?
after the windshield got smashed, kind of like a couple minutes after when I got to, after I told my sister about the windshield got smashed, and he told my sister go on like Facebook and look her up. Antonio gave the name and the last name of Isabel and he showed the picture of her on Facebook to me, and I said, yeah, that was her.
So after Antonio showed you pictures of Isabel,
Yeah,
then you knew that that was Isabel.
yes,
Okay, and that was after you got in the house.
yes.
All right.
I'm contemplating. That's over. All right, now you may step down. Okay, I'm going to switch gears for a moment. Do people have another witness?
I do hear.
Okay. And who was that with?
That's the complaint with Ms. Murillo. Right.
All right, you can bring in the complainant. This witness has to remain in the hall. I mean, has to stay in the hall. I'm going to switch gears. Mr. Upshaw.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, your client isn't here, but I'm gonna go ahead and call the case, because apparently y'all might have misunderstood something, but this is number 224423402, the People versus India Christian Cross, and the defendant is charged with assault or assault battery. The day is the date set for trial. Appearances, please.
For the record, Your Honor, Christina Ritter on behalf of the people, I have a complaint that is present on Zoom this afternoon. Ms. Bryant, unmute yourself and state your name for court.
My name is Jakari Wright.
All right, Mr. Upshaw.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm in the parking lot right downstairs. We can come right up, but Randall Upshaw on behalf of Ms. Cross.
And your P number?
43574.
Okay, so no, there was a 12 noon check-in, Mr. Upshaw.
I thought it was a 12:30 check-in, Your Honor, 1 o'clock start, with all respect. I'm sorry.
No, you know, I ain't starting no trial at 1 o'clock. No, I'm just messing with you, Mike. No, we take lunch from 12:30 to 1:30, usually. But with respect to the check-in, where is your client then?
Should be in the parking lot. I'm in the parking lot across the street. She should be in the parking lot next door.
Oh, okay, so, that sounds like everyone is ready to proceed. Are we ready to proceed? People are ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, so, Ms. Ritter, with respect to this trial that we're currently in, this is your last witness?
Yes.
And then, Ms. Stevenson, have you made a decision with respect to whether your client is testifying?
I have not.
All right, Mr. Upshaw, we're not gonna start your trial before, 1:30 probably, because I still gotta give my staff a break, so, it's 12:30. I'm gonna actually say that we're not gonna start your trial until 2 o'clock, Mr. Upshaw.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, unless somebody wanted to redirect me while I'm Upshaw on, I wanna take at least a half-hour break from my staff. It's 12:30. Are we gonna be finished with this by 1 o'clock? Okay, 1 o'clock, that gives us 1:30. Mr. Upshaw, let's say 1:30.
I'll be there at 1:30, Your Honor. Thank you.
Miss Wright, you're gonna come on down to the court. The trial is gonna start around 1:30, okay?
Okay.
Courtroom, 339.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you in about an hour.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right. All right, now step this way, raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Ms. Ritter, the officer is trying to do something. All right, and you may put your hand down. Tell me your name.
Miranda Rodriguez.
And Ms. Rodriguez, you've been sitting in the hall waiting to be called as a witness, correct? Yep. Did you view any of these proceedings on the court's live stream?
I did not.
You may see. You may see.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Rodriguez.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Rodriguez, can you state your full name for the record?
My name is Miranda Rodriguez.
Okay. And Ms. Rodriguez, I want to take you back to September 12th, 2021. You probably okay. And on that day, were you near 8809 Mason Place in the city of Detroit? I was. And was that within the county of Wayne? Okay. And what happened when you first arrived at this location?
So when I first got there, they were about to go inside, and I asked them if I could come in and use that.
Okay. And who were you with when you arrived at this location?
I was with my sister. I was with a kid named Tony, and then a kid named
Okay. And what's your sister's name?
Kayla.
Okay. And Ms. Rodriguez, so that the court reporter can hear you and that the court can hear you, that microphone is adjustable, moves up and down. So if you can speak into it as loud as you can. Okay, thank you.
Oh, and I did want the record to reflect that the OIC had arrived and was in the courtroom. She's been here since I think like the redirect of the previous witness, but okay.
Thank you. And do you know whose house this was at this address, Ms. Rodriguez?
Yeah, it was Mike's house.
Okay. And when you approached this address, what happened?
When we approached, I parked the vehicle down the street a little bit because she kept texting me and making threats.
Who is she?
Isabel.
Okay. So what happened when you arrived at the location?
I asked him if I could come inside and use that.
Okay, what happened then?
So I proceeded inside and I went upstairs to go to the bathroom.
Okay. You know approximately how long you were in the bathroom?
Probably like 3 minutes.
Okay. And what happened next?
I started hearing banging on the door.
Which door?
The bathroom door.
Okay. And without telling me what anyone said, what happened after you did the banging?
They screamed my windshield was broken.
Okay.
They scream, I'm sorry. They scream what?
It was my sister
No, just repeat exactly what you just said.
Your windshield is broken.
Thank you.
Okay, so what did you do next?
So I ran down the stairs and proceeded outside. My sister's crying to me, and I asked her, I'm like, what, like, are you serious? The windshield's broken. And she said, yes.
Who was your sister?
Kayla.
Okay, where was she when you came outside?
Getting out of the vehicle.
Okay. What happens after that?
So I asked her what had happened. She said the windshield broke. I was in the vehicle.
Okay. So without telling me what happened, or I'm sorry, without telling me what anyone said, what did you do after you received that information?
I heard all the other information from everybody that was outside looking at the vehicle.
Okay.
Which was all the neighbors.
Okay.
So I proceeded to her house.
Who was her?
Isabel's house, which was around the corner from Mason Place.
Okay, and the person you're describing, did you see that person before?
I did.
Okay, can you point that person out to me?
They're wearing a burgundy maroon top.
Okay, anything else, any other articles that you can see?
Black pants, black shoes.
Okay. Judge, may the record reflect that identification of
The record reflects identification of Isabel.
Thank you. So what happened when you got to her house?
I knocked on her door. Her mother had came outside. I said, your daughter broke my windshield.
Okay, now let me back up a little bit. How do you know this is work?
I never knew her personally. It was through friends, and she kept contacting me on social media.
Okay, so prior to this day, you never met her in person?
Never.
Okay. Did you have any prior altercations with her?
No, besides her texting me, no.
Okay. And what friends in common do you and Ms. Marilla have?
Antonio and Mike.
Okay. And do you know the relationship of Antonio and Mike to Ms. Marilla?
Antonio is her child's father.
Okay. And Antonio is your friend as well, correct?
Not anymore, no.
At the time of the incident,
But yes.
Okay.
Let me ask a question. When you came up, I've noticed that you had long fingernails. Are you clicking your fingernails? That's you again? Oh, I have to, no, okay.
It's a new regime.
Oh, okay, okay, oh, we're gonna have to do something about that machine. Okay. Proceed. I thought she was, so for real, I thought she was like doing her nails. Okay. So I was blaming you for something that wasn't yours because it was a little track. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. So what happened next after you arrived at Ms. Marilla's house?
So after I arrived, like I said, I knocked on her mother's door. Her mother answered. I said, your daughter broke my windshield. She would not proceed outside.
Okay. So what happened next?
So her mom said, no, she didn't. So I proceeded to walk away. They had called the cops.
Who was that?
Isabel and her mother.
Okay. And without telling me what anyone said, what did you do after the police were called?
I waited in the car.
Okay. Where was your car parked?
On the corner.
Okay. And do you know approximately how long it took for the police to come to the address?
I want to say like 25 minutes, it felt like.
Okay. So during this time, did Ms. Marilla ever come out of the home?
She did.
Okay. Do you recall what she had on when she came outside?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. And what happened after the police arrived?
She tried saying that she didn't break the windshield and that we were lying, which was obvious that my sister, Kayla, had seen it.
Okay. So without telling me what was said, what happened when the police arrived? Did you talk to the police?
I did.
Okay. And at that time, did you give a statement about what happened?
I did.
Okay. And I just want to backtrack a little bit. With respect to the windshield, do you recall what part of your windshield was damaged?
The passenger side.
Okay. And who was the owner of this vehicle that you were in?
Me.
Okay. And with respect to the windshield, did you do anything after that?
I had to drive home.
Okay. And what happened after that?
I couldn't get my windshield fixed till 2 days after.
Okay. So at some point you got your windshield fixed.
Right.
Okay. And right. Okay, so you went to go get the windshield fixed after this incident?
I did.
Okay, and did you have to pay to get the windshield fixed?
I did.
Okay, do you recall where you took it to get it fixed?
It's called All-Star Autos on Dix in Lincolnburg.
Okay. Judge, at this time, people like to admit, I'm sorry, people submitted, it's an evidence and submit, I'm sorry, Judge, people like to publish.
It's not admitted, Ms. Dixon, then.
No objection.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I keep doing it.
All right. She didn't even do that in front of me because she said she didn't see it and then she went home. People proposed it.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. So, Ms. Rodriguez, at any point after this incident, did you speak with the police?
Yes, I did.
Okay, do you remember where?
The Southwest Police Department on 4th Street.
Okay, so you went in, and at that time, did you make a statement?
I did.
Judge, no question.
Cross-examination.
So, Ms. Rodriguez, do you remember the date that you, got an estimate to have your car repaired?
I know it was 2 days after, so I do not remember the date though.
Okay, all right, I don't have a question.
Okay. I do have a couple of questions. My first question, in response to Ms. Ritter's question, you said you didn't know Ms. Murillo and that only knew her through like her sending messages. And I do understand that you were inside when your windshield was busted, correct?
Yes.
I guess so. My question is, if you didn't know Miss Murillo, how did she know what kind of car you drove?
Because every time I used to go to her child's father's house, which was Antonio, she would drive by and see my car outside. She would watch me enter and exit the house.
How did you know that? You said you've never seen her.
She used to call me no caller ID. I have no idea how she got my number because when me and her child
I don't want any other background. Just so. Okay. I don't want to ask you questions. Okay, this is my last question, I think. Also, the person's house that your vehicle was at when the windshield got busted out, you said that was not Antonio's house.
No, it was his friend's house, which was Mikey.
And I guess my question is, how would Miss Murillo have known that you were at Mikey's house?
Because she lives around the block.
Right? I can't see the people around the block for me. My question is, how would she have known that you were at this house? You know,
I have no idea, like, I
Okay.
used to be watched.
Okay, are there any questions based on my question?
I do have a great question, Judge. So, Ms. Rodriguez, you testified that you've been to this house before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what kind of car Ms. Murillo drives?
A silver Ford?
Okay. And prior to this day, have you seen Ms. Murillo in this car before?
Yes.
Okay, where did you see her?
We would stand on the porch and we would watch her drive back and forth around the block because it's a one-way street.
Okay. And you testified that you never met her prior to this day, correct?
Never.
How do you know how she looks?
Facebook.
So you see pictures of her?
From Facebook and then seeing her drive up around the block.
Okay, so you know how she looked, but you never personally met her?
Never personally met her, no.
Okay, no further questions.
Just really briefly, at the time of this incident, I have just like one question. At the day this incident happened, do you know how Antonio and Isabel are getting along? Do you know if they're getting along with each other?
They were not.
Okay.
All right, thank you, ma'am. We missed it now. Unless, I'm sorry, you got last. Thank you, ma'am. We missed that panel. And you, if you want, you're free to stay in the court. Anything further on behalf of people?
No, Your Honor.
People rest. Anything on behalf of the defense?
Your Honor, defense rests.
All right. Oh, I see. No, I didn't say no. I didn't say anything. All right, so are we ready for closing argument?
The people are ready to.
Okay, and so the other witness, if she wants, she's coming to. All right, Ms. Ritter.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, the court heard testimony from Kayla Rodriguez, who was the sister of the complainant, Miranda Rodriguez. Her testimony consisted of her going to this residential location on September 12, 2021 with her sister and her sister's friends. She testified that her sister, who is Miranda Rodriguez, the complainant in this case, went into the house to use the bathroom, and at that time she was still sitting in the car. The testimony reflects that Ms. Kayla Rodriguez was sitting in the back seat when a person approached the vehicle, and she testified that the person was standing on the front passenger side with a rock, or what Kayla Rodriguez described as a rock, and smashed the front windshield of the vehicle. Your Honor, there was testimony from Ms. Kayla Rodriguez that the person who did this, as she described, was wearing dark clothing, long hair, she got a glimpse of before this person drove away. Kayla Rodriguez also testified, Your Honor, that she notified her sister to let her know what was going on. She testified that the person named Antonio, who was the father or the child's father of Ms. Murillo, showed her a picture on Facebook, and that's when she was able to identify Ms. Murillo as being the person who smashed the window. Your Honor, there was testimony and there were exhibits proposed to the court, people exhibit 1 and 2. It showed the damage to the vehicle and the rock that was described by the the eyewitness. And the court heard testimony from the complainant witness that essentially the same thing that the eyewitness explained to the court. She arrived at this location in the bathroom. After she came out, she was told and notified that her car window was busted from this rock. Judge, the complainant witness testified that she has not personally met Ms. Murillo. However, she has seen pictures of Ms. Murillo. She described the vehicle, which was a silver Ford, which was essentially the same as what the eyewitness, Ms. Kayla Rodriguez, described this vehicle to be correct. Judge, at this time, Ms. Miranda Rodriguez testified that she went to the home of Isabel Murillo, and that's when her mother, Ms. Murillo's mother, called the police, and she came in contact with the police. She also testified, and which was displayed in People's Exhibit 3, that she went to an auto place to get an All-Star Auto place to get her glass replaced, and that estimate does reflect the value, which was more than $200 for less than $1,000. Judge, at this time, I'm asking the court to take into consideration the exhibits 1, 2, and 3 that were submitted by the people, and the testimony from the eyewitness coupled with the complainant witness that Ms. Murillo was the person who threw this rock at the front windshield that caused damage to Ms. Miranda Rodriguez's vehicle, and that The value which was established through People's Exhibit 3 shows that the value to replace the windshield would be worth $200 for less than $1,000. Your Honor, I'm asking the court to take the testimony and exhibits into consideration and return a verdict of guilty count 1 on malicious destruction of personal property, more than 200 but less than 1,000. Ms. Stevenson.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Miranda Rodriguez is not able to testify that Isabel Morello did anything to her car. And strikingly, she testified that after they get to the location, Miranda is in the house, upstairs at the bathroom. She hears banging on the bathroom door, and then somebody comes and tells her your windshield has been busted. Not, interestingly, that girl Isabel just busted out your window. Your window was busted. And she says that she then goes and gets an estimate 2 days after the incident, Your Honor. And that's interesting because Kayla Rodriguez, who's supposed to be the eyewitness, testifies in a way which makes sense, that she's in the back seat of the car. She's looking at TikTok. We all know how captivating TikTok can be and is for our attention. If you're looking at TikTok, you're not really paying attention to anything else that's going on. She's looking at TikTok, bang, the windshield gets smashed. She ducks down like a rational person would do, ducks down for cover, and she can't see anything, Your Honor. And then she gets up and she texts her sister. She doesn't testify that, oh, there's that girl Isabel who I saw through some Facebook pictures of somebody who doesn't like my sisters. Nothing like that. She testifies and she texts her sister that she sees other people coming outside. It's getting dark outside. She gets up and then she goes and knocks on the door. That she goes inside. She waits that her sister comes downstairs and then they go outside. That means that just as consistent with the way Miranda Rodriguez testified, Miranda couldn't have seen anything that happened. And Kayla's ability to accurately perceive and therefore identify Isabel Murillo as the person who did this damage to the car is not, it just is not weighty enough to sustain the people's burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Kayla goes on to testify that she makes a statement, and the court's questioning I thought was spot on, that she says she makes the statement to the police the day after. And then I asked her, are you sure you made it the day after? She said, no, the week after. And then the court asked her, when you made the statement, she said, well, we made the statement because my sister had to go down to get the estimate to get the car fixed. But the People's Exhibit 3 shows that that happens 2 days after the incident. So unfortunately, Kayla's, her ability to accurately identify Isabel Murillo is just not credible enough. Antonio is definitely at the center of what's going on here. Antonio and Isabel are not getting along at the time of this incident. Everybody apparently knows that. And it sounds like it's through Antonio that Kayla makes what she's calling an identification of Isabel Murillo. 10 minutes after the windshield gets smashed, according to Kayla's testimony, these other incidents happen, but they get down the street or get over a few blocks away over to Isabel's house, and Isabel is dressed in a tank top and some shorts. So she apparently, according to the way Kayla wants the court to believe, busts out the windshield, makes it down the street, gets in the house, gets out of her clothes, and then goes on with whatever she was doing. So not sure that, the trier of fact shouldn't have to, I would argue, if the people meet their burden, ask the in-depth questions that this court as the trier of fact had to ask, just to try to find out what's going on. The people are supposed to tell the trier of fact what happened beyond a reasonable doubt. And we submit that with these witnesses' testimony, one, who just didn't see anything, and two, first one, who sounds like her identification is based upon the raging of somebody who's having conflict with my client. I don't believe the people have met their burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm asking the client to spell them.
Yes, Judge. So, Judge, the testimony from the eyewitness, Kayla Rodriguez, was that she was in the back seat and she heard the windshield hit with this big cement rock. And her initial reaction, of course, was anybody's initial reaction to judge. But there was testimony that immediately after this happened, she went to go notify her sister who was complaining with Miss Miranda Rodriguez of what happened. So not that much time passed, and that's important because at that time, the memory is still fresh in her head as to the glimpse of the person that she saw throwing this rock at the window. And once she was shown a picture, she confirmed that the person that she saw throwing the rock at the windshield was in fact Isabel Murillo. And that goes to the testimony from Miss Miranda Rodriguez, who said that she hasn't met Miss Murillo personally, but she's seen pictures of Miss Murillo. And she also testified that prior, before this incident, that she's visited this home of a person named Mike, and that when she was down on the porch, she used to see Miss Murillo drive past in a silver car. Judge, that information is crucial because it matches the description to what Ms. Kayla Rodriguez described the vehicle to be that this person got out of the car. So it is circumstantial evidence, Judge, as to the type of vehicle this person was driving. It's circumstantial as to how they knew Ms. Murillo prior before. But again, Ms. Kayla Rodriguez testified that she saw the glimpse of this person that does this. She did testify that it wasn't dark yet, it was getting dark, so that she was able to see, and she verified that through a photo that was shown to her by Antonio. So, Judge, I want the court to take that into consideration. Again, with the evidence that was provided through the exhibits, Judge, I'm asking this court to return a verdict of guilty to count one. So this is just the personal property, 200 or more or less than 500.
Court has had an opportunity to consider the charge against the testimony, the exhibits of people, the arguments of counsel. Court is ready to issue its decision as to whether people have proven beyond a reasonable doubt that on or about September 12, 2021, at or near the location of 8809 Mason Place in the city of Detroit within the county of Wayne, that Isabella Murillo committed one count of malicious destruction of personal property, $200 or more, but less than $1,000. And then, of course, in order to meet this burden, the people did submit to this court 2 witnesses, 3 exhibits, and court makes the following observations with respect to the people's proofs and whether they meet the burden. So what the court knows for certain is that somebody on Sunday busted out a window, or at least strike that. What the court knows for certain is that the window to an Equinox sustained damage on the front passenger side of the windshield. And then the testimony of the people's witness was that based upon her observations, Ms. Kayla Rodriguez indicates that the person that she was sitting in a vehicle where the windshield wasn't busted, and then somebody came and busted it. And then she says that that person is the defendant, Ms. Murillo. With respect to the owner of the vehicle, of course, she testified as to the amount of the damage. In fact, she went to get the car repaired. So I'm going to just really focus on the eyewitness's testimony and whether the people have met their burden with the submission of it. And the eyewitness testified that she doesn't know Ms. Murillo, that she never met or saw Ms. Murillo prior to this incident, and that when she was in the vehicle, she was in the back seat, she was on TikTok, she heard a smash, she ducked and went down. Apparently in a police statement, she stated that prior to that, she saw a silver car come up or approach, but she didn't see who got out of the silver car or anything about the person in the silver car, I guess. And then today she says that she, at some point, I'm not really sure if before or after, but she got a glimpse of the person who busted out the window. And then when asked on at least 2 occasions and 3 by this court, so when asked 3 times about the description of the person that busted out the window, she said the person had dark hair and they had on dark clothes. and that it was just starting to get dark. And then, you know, some questions was asked about, you know, how did you know that it was Miss Murillo? And then she said she was shown a picture of Miss Murillo from Facebook, and then she said, that's her. Court is gonna settle right there and unpack that. So then I say to the witness, Miss Stevenson has dark hair and has on dark clothes. What about the person that you saw that day causes you not to say that that was Miss Stevenson out there? Because Miss Stevenson has dark hair, she has on dark clothes. Then she was saying, well, first she started trying to tell me about this dispute between her sister and this person. And then I said, no, I want to just know, based on what you saw, what makes you say that that was Miss Murillo as opposed to Miss Stevenson, who I just simply used as an example. And then she says, when they showed her Facebook picture, that's how she said that's Miss Murillo. There was a judge on the bench. We worked together for approximately, maybe she's been retired for 5 years now, maybe 6 years. Her name was Isetta F. Bryant. And for 10 years of my career, if I walked the hallway enough, somebody was gonna say, hi, Judge Bryant. And then I would say, I'm not Judge Bryant, but hi. And that was when Judge Bryant had twists. She used to wear her hair in twists. She used to wear a 2-strand twist. And I used to say, girl, you know, can't the people tell the difference between locks and twists? We were both about the same height. We both about the same complexion. And she had twists and I had locks. Then she messed around and went and got locks. She messed around and turned her twist into locks. And then I said, oh, wow, ma'am, now nobody's gonna ever call me who I am because they're gonna keep saying that I'm you. I've been out at functions in the community and people say, hi, Judge Bryant. And I say, I'm Judge Bryant, but hi, how are you? So why am I saying that? Because if somebody said they saw a glimpse of me out the corner of their eye, smashing a brick into a windshield, and somebody went on Judge Bright's Facebook page and said, is this her? There's a great possibility that the person is gonna say, yeah, that's her. That's the lady who smashed out my window. Now, hopefully not to me nor Judge Bryant are smashing out windows. But my point is, you can't give a person a 1 photograph lineup and cause them to have a valid identification of a person. This is why the law requires that the police do a 6-pack. Because people can look alike, they can look similar, they can be this, they can be that. And you have to be sure of the person that you're pointing out. But even outside of that, I asked some specific questions when the complaining witness testified. And I did not receive any satisfactory answers. How did Ms. Murillo know that you were at that location? How did Ms. Murillo know what type of vehicle you were driving? I mean, one of the reasons I just got rid of my truck when the lease was up, why? Because I said, if I see 1 million of these trucks every time I go somewhere, every time I go park, it's 3-5 trucks parked next to me. How many times did I try to get into the wrong car and say, I'm so glad that the person who owned this Cadillac truck is not in their car because I'm walking up to their truck trying to open the door because they park right next to me. Court, as you probably figured out, Ms. Murillo's stand. Court believes that something happened to an Equinox because I have that in exhibit number 1. And exhibit 2 is the picture of a brick, and it could have, you know, been the brick that hit that car. And Ms. Murillo could be the person who some kind of way knew where Ms. Rodriguez was gonna be, who some kind of way knew that Ms. Rodriguez drove that vehicle. Because also the court does not gloss over the fact that they weren't even at Antonio's house. So if this had even maybe been at Antonio's house, the court could connect a couple of more dots. I don't know if it would still get to where the people needed me to be. But this wasn't even at Antonio's house, who's probably not worth, you know, okay, I said I wasn't going to like talk about people in 2024. Because why Antonio showing pictures on Facebook? Why is Antonio trying to say, oh, is this who did this? Okay, nonetheless, he is the father of your child, and I suppose you gotta have some, you know, interaction with him for the next however many years. I don't know how old the child is. But the court does not believe that the people have met its burden beyond a reasonable doubt that Ms. Murillo was in fact the individual who busted out the window on this day at this location within the city of Detroit, and therefore I find Ms. Murillo not guilty as charged. Ms. Murillo, you can, well, you can just have a seat at the defense table for now, and I'll get you a copy of the dismissal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And court is in recess until 1:40. No, you did. Oh, look, I'm all in y'all business and all in y'all conversation. And I thought